The unemployed, the students, the pensioners, the people who have already been suffering for 5 years. And I think what we've seen throughout the country since the election result is a huge upsurge of people saying to the parties, if you won't do it, we'll have to do it, and that's why we're here today. In Manchester just 2 weeks ago, we held our regular planning meeting. 350 people turned up because they wanted to say no to austerity. In Bristol, 7 sixth formers called a demonstration on Facebook. 4,000 people turned up. In Nottingham, 900 people attended a meeting. Who said meetings are dead? We meet in order to organise. We may have the numbers. We may be the many, and they may be the few, but we have to get ourselves organised, and that's why the People's Assembly is helping Liam and Mike put up this demonstration today. We want to stay in Piccadilly Gardens, we want to hear stories from our speakers today who have experienced austerity, and we want to hear from the campaign, and we also have loads of music and loads of fun. And I think in the morning there will be a collection point for the homeless, where we want you to give money, we want you to give food, we want you to give clothes, blankets, sanitary products. If you didn't bring anything, you can nip to the shop and get something and bring it back. Because it's about offering concrete help. Without further ado, I'm going to ask Mike, one of the organisers, give him a big cheer for going for this.
Already. Thank you for joining us here today at Piccadilly Gardens. Several weeks before he passed away, my granddad said to me, as long as there are people who know what they're up to, we'll be alright. The they he referred to as the establishment, the ones raining down cuts and austerity on us all. The people, you and me. When Liam and I arranged this event, there's just 2 guys who've been to the odd protest but never arranged anything before. We didn't expect it to get so big. We've got the official backing of the People's Assembly, and we all come from a diverse array of backgrounds, be they cultural, religious, even political. Not all of us are going to agree on every single little thing. We're not all here from one group. We come from a diverse array of groups who want to help each other and stand together. But Liam and I were just individuals, and it shows what can be done. That doesn't mean we can't come together and stand together as one with one common goal, the fight against austerity. We live in a country, a society of abundance, where there is enough food to go round, but that doesn't mean that everyone gets it. In the first 6 months of 2013, Tesco alone threw away 30,000 tonnes of food as waste. And we've all seen the stories where people have been prosecuted, or have attempted to be prosecuted, for taking this redundant food out of bins. There is evidently enough food to go round. So why austerity? And what does it mean as a word and as implications for those affected? We live in a society where the rule of property takes precedence over the welfare of those most vulnerable. Money is a tool of power which creates artificial scarcity in order that the establishment's dominance is maintained. Austerity is one of the most harmful elements of that tool. It is the one which imposes hardships where they are not needed, which tells us that there is not enough when there is plenty. The power relations we all live under determine that certain commodities cannot be allocated to certain people. Without exception, those people are the poor, the vulnerable, the out of work and the disabled. They are the recipients of the savage cuts we've all come to know well. They might be your neighbour, the homeless woman you walked past the other day, a friend, they might even be you. The message given by austerity is clear. If you are not useful to the rich, you are not worth saving. You are left out in the cold at the expense of the economy. Austerity is ideological. It is designed to preserve power. It is designed to reiterate certain values. It is there to tell us that this system is natural, that this system is common sense, that these cuts are necessary, that the loss of life as a result of those cuts is necessary, just so that we can get back to a stable economy. An economy that will no doubt enter into one of its regular crises once again in the next 10 to 20 years. And who'll suffer then? The poor, the vulnerable, the out of work, the disabled. And if you want proof that austerity is nothing more than ideological, if you want proof that it is not a necessity for any other reason than the artificial one imposed by the economy we all live and die for, I ask you to look to the big businesses, the corporations, the banksters, the MPs, all those rich people in their towers getting tax breaks, pay rises, claiming on their second and third homes, spending £39 on breakfast alone. If we're under austerity, why aren't they suffering? Because they don't need to. Liam and I arranged this demonstration for several reasons. First and foremost, we want to take a stand. We want to show that we will not put up with these callous, unnecessary cuts. The cuts come from the rich, the powerful, the privileged, and affect the vulnerable. The vulnerable are held down while the rich take their livelihoods away out of not necessity but ideology. We won't stand for it. We shouldn't have to. We also want to talk about how we can help those in our communities who are suffering. We want to bridge gaps between communities. We want to create lines of communication where people can help one another. Under 5 more years of austerity, that's what it will come down to. We cannot look upwards for help. We cannot get on our knees and beg the establishment for a few more pennies. We have to act together. We have to stand together. We have to show solidarity. We have to help each other. We have to rebuff defamation from above. We have to counter claims that the scroungers are on JSA, for instance, or that an influx of immigrants is to blame. We have to show that the real scroungers are sitting in their cushy little hall in Westminster, completely disconnected from the lives of ordinary working class people. We will have to fight together. We have a fantastic array of speakers here with us today to impart their knowledge, and several live musicians to keep up that festival atmosphere and have fun in the face of austerity. We invite anyone to come and speak to us, to partake in discussions about positive alternatives to austerity, and to ask the question, what is to be done? Thank you.
Wow, this is people power. If individuals can pull off something like this, and if all the crowd over here, if you want to come round into the centre, for once we do have TV cameras here from ITV, BBC and Sky News. So come round guys and let's make it some really good pictures that the people of Manchester can see that we're saying no to austerity, no to austerity and no to austerity. And I want to introduce now the other part of the dynamic duo.
Gallagher's a different guy. I'm autistic and this is a bit daunting, so bear with me. 2 weeks ago, my friend Mike asked me to help him out with a protest he had set up. I of course agreed. We expected 50 to 100 people on the event page. Within 2 days there were 1,000, and it continued to get bigger. And I'd like to tell you that this is Mike's brainchild, and I think he deserves a lot of credit, so can we have an applause for Mike? I've never been prouder of someone. So why did I agree to help out? Well, a number of reasons really, not least my love for the NHS. Prior to the NHS, poor people essentially had to suffer and die. They would become ill from diseases contracted as a direct result of their poverty, and then struggle to afford the necessary health care. I speak to you as someone who has been deeply affected by mental health issues, seeing loved ones suffer from these awful ailments, and to a degree suffering from them myself. Before the NHS, the mentally ill were treated like dirt, locked away in institutions to keep them hidden from society. In fact, in the 18th and even the 19th century, members of the public would visit these institutions to watch and laugh at the behaviour of these poor individuals. They were even permitted to bring large sticks to poke them with. The NHS is ours. It's there to serve us, which is why the toffs aren't bothered about selling it off at the highest bid. They can afford healthcare, and we are disposable. I don't want an England where doctors are ramming misdiagnosed medication down people's throats to fund big pharmaceutical companies. I don't want society's most vulnerable being left to die because they can't afford healthcare, and that's just one of the reasons to fight. We do this for other reasons too. We're tired of a system that does not serve us, a system that serves the elite and not the common people. We do this because while Manchester City Council cut around 30 million from adult social care, a lifeline for many people, they spend 88 million evicting our homeless brothers and sisters from the street. So they haven't got the money to help the vulnerable, but they have the money to move the vulnerable on when they make them look bad. We do this because while our schools and hospitals and libraries are suffering from these measures, MPs are receiving pay rises and using our money to fill their own pockets. While people are forced into homelessness, while working families starve and go cold through winter, while parents skip meals so their children can eat, while severely disabled people are declared fit for work, while suicide levels rise, the people who got us into this mess are warm, cosy and well-fed, living in their mansions and laughing at us. We're here to create dialogue amongst the people and to provide help for society's most vulnerable. We're here to listen to people's experiences, listen to music, help the homeless, and hopefully find ways to combat austerity's trail of destruction within our own communities. Through peaceful organisation and love for each other, we might just be able to sort something out. So I urge you to remain peaceful, talk with one another, and enjoy yourselves. Thank you for coming, and remember, only through unity can we succeed.
To stand up here in front of a crowd like this. I know you all feel very friendly, but up here it's a very scary experience. So once again, thank you very much to these two guys. Okay, we're going to move on now to people who've had an actual experience of austerity. And while you're listening to the speeches and enjoying the music, I want to remind you of a very serious prize we have our eyes on. And it's the 20th of June in London, where we will be outside the Bank of England, the heart of the beast that caused this crisis, and we will peacefully march to Parliament Square, the so-called democracy that is imposing this austerity. And if you would like to book transport, you can do so here at the People's Assembly gazebo. So please do make sure you take leaflets and book yourselves on that coach. And now I want to introduce somebody really special. So Hannah is going to talk to us about her experience of austerity. It's a scary experience. Make her welcome. Thank you.
Hello, I'm going to be talking about a section of austerity which is very close to my heart. Up until the start of this month, those claiming ESA and PIT benefits had to periodically attend ASOS assessments in order to review the benefit claims. They were assessed on the basis of a short interview and questionnaires. An evaluation made by an ASOS representative had the power to completely cut someone's benefits, leaving them with nothing to live off. The DWP made decisions in only 16% of the cases. Claimants were not even entitled to a professional health assessment. Boxes were ticked in a bureaucratic way, and there are many examples of staff treating those who were being assessed disrespectfully and even offensively. Might I add that these were disabled, sick and terminally ill people who deserve compassion and respect. My dad was one of those people. My dad had chronic arthritis and heart problems, among other health problems, which stopped him from being able to work. When ASOS cut his disability benefit, my dad's benefit entitlement was cut for several months until he won the legal battle against them. I truly believe that the stress of fighting against ASOS and the DWP contributed to his untimely death. Not long after, my dad started getting very ill. He was diagnosed with small cell esophageal cancer. He died less than 4 months later, last July, at the age of 57. His name was Paul Bevan. For some reason, the reality of losing benefits was too much. There are numerous cases of people who did not have enough money to feed or heat themselves. The end result of an ASOS assessment for some was suicide. State-sanctioned suicide. For the terminally ill, benefits cuts dramatically shortened their lives and caused stress at a time when comfort above all else was needed. For the sick, the stress of being left without money to properly care for themselves was a direct cause of death through the worsening of their condition. Ian Duncan Smith's response, "Work will set you free. Arbit McFry," the slogan displays above the entrance to Auschwitz camp. This can be construed as an open declaration that the scheme was intended to genocide those perceived as weak by the powers that be. ASOS's contract may be over, but there's a new threat on the horizon for the vulnerable. The Health Assessment Advisory Service. We have yet to see if this service is ASOS rebranded, but the thought of attending the assessment inspires fear in many people. I ask you now if we could have a minute of silence for those who are the victims of ASOS. The human cost of a government desperate to cut costs at the expense of human life. Paul Reiki, Richard Sanderson, Stephanie Bottrell, Paul Wilcoxon, Leanne Chambers, Christelle Pardo, Kaya Pardo, Elaine Christian, Robert Christian, David Clapson, David Groves, Elaine Lowe, Sean Pilkington, Nicholas Peter Barker, Robert Barlow, Paul Bevan. I'm sorry for not providing a complete list of those who died at the hands of ASOS. My heart is with each and every one of the victims and their families, because I know the impact welfare reforms can have on families firsthand. Rest in peace, you will not be forgotten. We cannot continue to let our government take from the most vulnerable in society and allow the rich to evade tax. This is what today is about, standing up to a government that does not stand up to us. Thank you.